today. I was going to try to join on both computers here, but it looks like we'll just have the one. So this is what we're going to do today. So what we need to start with actually is a pencil or a pen. If you could do it with a pencil, that would be great. So I am going to do it with a pen so you can see what I'm doing. But just grab a pencil and your either piece of cardboard or your paper or whatever, and we're going to do this drawing. So I'm going to put this over here. So it's going to be really, really simple. It's like I like to say, like it's usually either like straight lines or a version of circles or ovals, right? So so this is a fairly easy design that we're going to do. So I'm going to make sure we're still there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what we're going to start with is we're going to draw on our canvas. We're going to just start with the triangle, if you will, at the top of a triangle, just like that. There's the little house part. And the house has a little bit of a roof overhang. So now we're going to do a part of a square or a rectangle. Just come down and give it a little more long length there. Come across. Before I do that, I'm going to come down here so I can meet this side here and come together. So now we have kind of the basis of this house. I'm going to just come up here a little bit. I'm going to do another one parallel to it, like this, and start at the top here, and then come down and just go parallel to it, like this. And just because we're here already, I'm going to kind of just eyeball where I should put a circle. It doesn't really matter, so let's see, this one is just under the eave of that roof, and so I'm going to start there. Just kind of do a big circle right in the middle. And then maybe a little circle right here, just to remind myself where that is. So, and we're gonna have a post too. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of that post, just do a little bit of a line. Don't do it all the way down, because I think I'm gonna do like a little bit of a vine that's gonna go around that. So, okay, so that's our basic drawing. So then it's a matter of now doing our colors. So today the colors aren't super exciting to start with, because we really wanna start with this, birdhouse. So what we want to start with is just doing a really basic white background for this. And we're going to add in a little bit of color just to make it fun and not super boring on the background. But it's obviously the focus of this painting is not going to be the background. It's going to be the beautiful birdhouse. So grab any kind of brush that you've got. I'm just going to grab this like sort of basic brush, and I've got my white on here, and I'm just going to white around everything that's not the birdhouse. And we're going to do the top part of it first and just kind of give it a good base coat of that white. I don't know if you can see this. I'm painting over last week's painting, not the final version, because I actually really like the final version, but one of my earlier versions, because I try to do a couple for you guys before we actually do the painting. So yes, I reuse my stuff, and sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. Okay, so we're doing a version of the white, and we're just putting that white on there and just kind of making it easy and movable. And so if your canvas is not like, if there's nothing on your canvas, this is going to at least give it that basis for the canvas piece of it. And I think the flowers that we're going to do are similar to the ones that are in this painting, which are blue. So the background here, then I was thinking would be nice, would be like a yellow, not a yellow tone, a more of a pink tone, because we're going to have a lot of yellow in this birdhouse. So I don't want to have like yellow background and yellow birdhouse, and that doesn't make any sense. So the complementary color to that is like a pink or a red. So, so here we're just putting a bunch of white on here so we can pick that up with some of the complementary tone. Okay, so white's on there now. It's still nice and wet. So while it's still wet, so here's exactly what we're doing, right? So here's the yellow, right? And the complementary tone to it, if you do it three ways, is the blue. And so the complementary tone to it is either pink or reds. So that's great. So it's kind of like a three-way, like a triangle that you're always trying to create, called a split complement. So so let's pick up a little bit of pink, or if you've got red instead of that, because it's going to turn pink on this anyways, because you've got white down, right? So if you only got red, then grab a little bit of red. But if you've got pink, grab a little pink. And what I'm going to do is put a little pink on my palette, and I'm going to pick my brush up and put the pink on it, and I'm going to just swirl around a little bit of the white that I have left, just to really make it light pink. Okay, swirl it around, and then I'm just going to just gently give this sky like a pink background to it. Not a ton, you know, and like I said, it's picking up all that white that we put down earlier. So I'm gonna just kind of give it almost like a sunset sky. Okay, so we're just gonna give it some fun pink background. So, and I'm just gonna give it like little breath of that color. So it picks up pretty well and goes pretty fast. So this is a pretty fast painting. As you know, Judge only gives me 15 minutes to this class. So we have to do things pretty fast anyways, but we're just gonna give it a real light smattering. What, Joe? She's bitching and moaning. It's all good. It's a happy family problem. Okay, so that's it. Just a little bits of pink to make this a fun complementary painting. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to stop there while we're ahead, right? I'm going to wash my brush. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to work on that beautiful, beautiful house. So once again, we're going to pick up these colors. There's brown, there's ochre, there's like mustardy colors, and there's maybe a little bit of yellow. So so pick up anything you've got in those color ranges. So I'm going to pick up all my ranges that are similar to that. So I've got this one here. I've got yellow ochre. I'm going to put that on my my palette. So any kind of yellows that you have. If you only have like bright yellow, put a little bit of blue in it to tone it down a little bit, or a little bit of red. Red or blue will tone it down and give it a more natural tone to it. If you don't, you should have yellow of some sort. So do that. And then you could actually make a little bit of pile. If you have only bright yellow, then use the bright yellow. Put a little red in one and put a little blue in the other. So we just want a couple of different tones of it. Okay, so I'm getting my palette ready with those colors. Okay, literally working up until about 8 minutes before the class today. So we'll do what we can here. Okay, and I'm gonna put a little more white on my palette, and I'm actually gonna add just a tiny bit of blue. So if you have any kind of like a darkish blue, sorry for the sound that this white's about to make. It's gonna fart. Okay, there it goes. If you have any dark blue, put a little bit of that, because as you can tell, got a little dark blue up here. We're not gonna add it until later, but since you're building your palette now, it might be a good time to just put a little dot of that on there. Okay. Do that. Okay, now we're ready to rock. All right, so a couple of things about this painting. First of all, it's in a watercolor, so it's a little bit funky, but we are gonna just we're thinking about where the light's coming. So the light is coming here, and so there's a bigger shadow than this side. So that's kind of interesting. And so we're gonna try to make some lines, and we're gonna come back in later with those lines. So right now we're just gonna put the base color down, and then we'll get to those lines. So we'll start with a little bit. Jojo, are you off mute or someone off mute?
I'm on. She want me mute?
Depending on your life, but if your life is quiet, don't worry. But if your life is feeling a little loud, then mute yourself. So just because we're recording it for other people and they don't need to hear your dog barking, right? Just like at my house. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of white on my brush, and I'm just going to go around near the middle like this, because the light's kind of coming through this, and so we're going to just put a little bit of light right around the middle of that. And then to put that same brush, I'm going to pick up that yellow ochre color, and I'm going to just give it a broad stroke down here. And I'm going to come up to that white a little bit, and I don't want to go all the way into the white. I want to keep some of that white there. And I'm going to keep that circle white too. I'm going to go around that white circle. There we go. And then on this side where the shadow comes down, we can go up a little higher with that. So that kind of gives us that baseline color of that yellow ochre. So like I said, if you have a little yellow, add a couple little red or a little blue to it to give it some dimension. So since we have this color already on our brush, let's go up here and add some of this color up here too. And then let's not go all the way down, but let's get a little bit closer. Just do this for now. So I like about these straight edge brushes, they're kind of nice, and a round edge brush just as well, but it's kind of nice. It kind of almost gives you a shortcut when you're trying to stay in the line, if you will, so kind of nice. So I'm going to come down almost all the way to the circle in the middle, and I think I'm going to go all the way on this side, and I'm going to come down to near the circle on this side too. Okay. Okay, that was good, except for the part that I went outside the line. Okay. Okay, so we've got the basis there. So now that this is all still kind of wet, let's go ahead and grab a little bit of brown on your brush. You don't have to wash your brush, it'll be fine. And add a little bit of that right on top. And let's just try to make this sort of strokey, because we're gonna make this look like wood later. So if we kind of stroke down a little bit, we're gonna get more of a wood grain feel to it, or stroke up for that matter too, either way, up or down. You can kind of get all the way to the bottom there and give it kind of a wood. See how it's already starting to look like a wood grain, because we're going linearly, which is kind of fun. So I'm going to go down here. Last week's painting was so fresh in that you could just do anything you wanted. And so today I'm like, okay, gotta be really specific. But sometimes that's the way painting goes. Sometimes you want to be really specific, and sometimes you want to be really, really free. Okay, so here we go. We're kind of creating some wood grain. That's pretty fun. Just kind of get in between the lines there. And remember, I drew this with pen. You probably did not. You probably did it with pencil, and so your lines are going to disappear, or mine are like super dark and silly. So, but that's what the teacher has to do. Okay. So there we go. We've got kind of the wood going there. Sorry, I keep hitting my screen thing. I'm going to just give a little more of this mustard color right here around the opening to that hole. Pull it up a little bit and give it maybe even a little bit more brown, just to give it a little bit more of a wood tone. So kind of do your own thing on this, because if you make a really dark house or a really light house or whatnot, it's totally up to how your brush is treating you today and how you want to do it. So, but I think that looks good. It's got a kind of a wood grainness that we'll get to. So, in fact, why don't we do it now, because our brush has already kind of got all these fun, juicy colors on it, right? So let's go ahead, go in with your brush. Like, okay, this is where you really need to have a brush that's got a bit of an edge to it, or a smaller round brush. And we're just kind of just make a little bit of a version of a line, right? So it kind of gives you like the feeling that, oh yeah, that was a piece of wood, this was made out of a piece of wood. I'm just going to come down straight as possible. And even that, I'm actually even picking up the paint with this a little bit, and that's okay, because it still gives you a wood line feel. So these wood pieces don't have to be the same size. A lot of people make birdhouses out of just scrap wood in their garage. So this is kind of just making it just more custom looking. So just like that. So now you've got that wood feel. So I think that looks really awesome. All right, so since we still have all this brown and fun on our brushes, let's go ahead and do the top of the roof. Once again, this was just probably, like I said, this is wood that's just left around, so it's kind of all the same. It's all pieced, maybe not all the same color. So if you even wanted to do like a red roof, because you were a fancy guy who was making a bird house for his wife or whatever, and she's like, I like a red roof, then you could do that too. So this is something you can just make up on your own. So I'm just going to give this some color, and the delineation is going to come when we do the shadow. So okay, keep that covered up. I'm going to put a little bit of brown on there too, kind of give it that little bit of wood feel to it. You're just going to squish it into that ochre color we just did. So that's what we do. We squish. Acrylic paint likes to be squished. Okay, that looks good. Okay, So that's kind of the basis of our guy. One more thing. Let's do a little bit of this bottom piece. Let's at least get him started. Just like an inch or so. Okay, and that's going to be the stem on the bottom. And I think in the painting they actually have a little bit of like he's standing on a post or something, so just a little bit of an extra piece. So with your brush, now I'm going to go ahead and just keep the brown gooky stuff on there because we're gonna add in the shadow, and the shadow has brown underneath it. So adding the blue onto this is not a big problem. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to add a little blue on there. Just going to take a little bit off. I'm going to put it on and take a little off. That doesn't make any sense, but that's the way sometimes this shadowing works. So now we're going to take the shadow piece and we're just going to take our brush and go right down like this. And I'm going to actually take it all the way down here and give the shadow underneath that. And then I'm just going to pull it down just a little tiny bit, same amount on both sides, or on this side, just same amount all the way down. And this side's going to get less of a shadow. And then the other side with it, just so that extra bit of blue that we added, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go a little bit more than the other side, because this side is the one that's has more shadow to it. And it also then makes it look like you're really trying to think about the shadow. So, and that's a little bit heavy for me, so I'm even going to take that off, and I'm just going to add in a little bit of that ochre on top of it, so it's not so like blue shadow. Now it's going to get sort of mixed in. Okay, I'm just pulling with the brush. Just like pull it in, push, and then pick it up a little bit. So you're just getting a little bit of shadow onto that piece. Kind of fun. So that's the shadow on that piece. So, and I said there's a little bit over here. There's none over here because it's going to come off the page. So, and now we could really go take off some of those extra colors. I'm going to go back to the blue, and I'm going to do this middle part here, right? So this is the fun middle. This is where the flat brush does not work as well because you want to make a circle, and circle with a straight line is a little bit harder. So let's just grab another brush because we have them. Oh, that's a really crunchy brush. Okay, we're just going to make a circle with a circle brush. Here's an idea. And so that's kind of fun. They add a little like dot in here just to give it some shadow and imperfection. And that's for fun. Okay, and then this little guy is white, and so he kept white, but he has a little bit of a shadow underneath him. So I'm just gonna give him a little shadow right there. And down here, there's a little shadow underneath. Now this is under the whole house, so of course it's gonna be a little shadowed. So we're gonna give this a little bit of a little blue like piece that it was all attached to. Let's give it a little blue shadow down here. And then he's gonna shadow a little bit on the side right there. Like sort of at an angle, I think is the best way to describe that. So let me just bring that up a little closer to you, just so you can see it a little bit better. Here it comes. Okay, so that's how the bottom looks. It's got a little bit of an angled shadow to it, and the top as well. I hope that's helpful. So we kept a little bit of white in the middle. All right, coolness. All right, so I'm just gonna do a little cleanup on some of this, and before we move on to the flowers. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of the ochre again and just make this not so distinct, and I'm going to help get around this little like I said, I have a markation line because I drew with pen so you could see it. I'm going to try to like get rid of that a little bit. Okay, just try to make this not so like crazy. Okay. Awesome. Blue and yellow make what? They make green. So adding some green there. Okay, so I actually really like the way that's turned out. So in this painting that I call it my inspiration painting, it's a little bit like really blue right here, but I'm not really obsessed with that being super, super blue. I mean, I could add it back in right here, but I don't really care. So because I think it already looks really good. So let's move on. Let's do flowers. So we have some time to do some flowers. So I was thinking the way that this looks is that it's kind of being pulled around by there's, you know, you put a bird planter up like this. Usually you put it somewhere like near the fence or whatever. So this is obviously plants behind it. So these are going to be behind. These ones are going to be behind the bird house, and these are going to kind of be in front a little bit. So let's go ahead and think about our flowers. So so we're going to use the blue again. So we might as well just sort of start with the blue and pick up some blue on your round brush. And I'm going to make little like little marks like a chrysanthemum, if you will, a little like that. And now I'm going to pick up some of the white. So just don't be afraid, because the white and the pink are still there, right? So so I'm just making little sharp pieces like this, right? So they're going in a circle, right? So it's kind of it's building it. And I'm going to pick up a little more blue and go back to the middle and do it again, because it's going to build and make it even more interesting as you go. So it's kind of like doing a pinwheel, right? And so I'm going to do one more section in the middle, super dark, right? I'm going to pull out that color a little bit. So that looks pretty fun. So I'm gonna make a friend for him, because he is a flower that there's more than one in it. And once again, here, watch a little more closely this time. I'll actually get this a little closer to you. Here we go. And I'll get closer, and I'm just doing little pieces like this. Little pieces, little pieces, little pieces, little pieces, little pieces, right? And then they kind of, like I said, they're hitting that white, and they're picking up, they're getting lighter, right? So when I do the middle part of it, I pick up a little extra blue, and I'm going to now go darker on the inside. Same thing, just little bits, until it kind of goes in a circle, just like a rose does. You know, a rose looks like a circle on the inside. This is the same idea. Okay, so that's got some depth and fun to it. Let's do one more, and then unlike the inspiration painting, I'm not going to do, we'll do like leaves with this. So let's do one right. Let's see, maybe we'll do one right. I don't know. Let's do one here. So once again, they'll just pick up the pinwheel of that, and I'm going into the birdhouse a little bit. I keep wanting to get a bird box. So why do I want to call it a bird box? Grab a little bit of white and just give it a little bit of lighter feel than the other ones. Like that. And then I'm going to take off that white on my palette. Take off the white on my palette, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of the dark, and then go back over it. Exact same strokes, just smaller in the middle. So it has a center. Okay. So that's kind of the fun pinwheel pieces there. Okay, so let's kind of do the same thing on the top then. Let's do two of these on top. I'm going to do one right here. And just going to pinwheel it around like this. And this is getting really light, because there was a lot of white up here when I was adding the sky. I'm going just a little bit onto the top of that. And then I'm going to go in with a dark, just make it a dark middle here. And then same color, just darker piece like that. I may even do a little bit of light in the middle of that one too, because it's so different than the others, right? And then let's do one more up here. Just make little pins, little you ever look at flowers? Oftentimes they're just full of little circles or little oblong shapes. So we're kind of making little oblong shapes just on our own right here. And then I'm going to add that dark circle again in the middle, add a dark circle, and then just go out from it. Littler ones. Yeah, that's super fun. I am picking up lighter paint, so I'm like not quite getting what I'm wanting to do, but I think you get the picture. What you don't want is we're not doing like we're not doing a comical sort of look where we're like making it very obvious. We're doing something a little bit more realistic today. So I'm trying to keep things a little bit light, just like in nature. So yeah, that's pretty fun. Okay, so give your brush a good cleaning. And then on your palette, let's add your greens. So I've got a couple of greens here, so I'm going to add 2 greens. I have like a dark green, seriously dark green. And then I have a lighter green, or what this is called a sap green. You may not have sap green, but maybe you have a lime green, or if you don't have it, then if just put a little yellow on your palette. I know we had yellow earlier. I didn't use it because I didn't need to, but you can use add a little yellow into one of your greens. So we'll do that. Actually, let's do that right now, because I think it's sometimes good to show you like how flexible your paints can be. So here's my yellow, and here's my dark green. So I'm going to come over here and just add those 2 together. A little yellow, a little dark, and now we're going to make this limey, this fun limey green, right? So totally different from the dark and the yellow. And I'm going to add a little white to it because I can. And now I have 2 different greens to use. I have a light green and I have a dark green, right? So, and maybe even one more yellow to brighten it up. And now you've got all the colors in the world, right? It's all you need. So, okay, I've already got that limey color on there, so I'll just start with that. So, actually, no, yeah, let's start up here. So let's start up with just some really easy, fun, like petal pieces, right? Because what we're thinking is happening here is there's going to be like a little bit of a stretch that behind this thing is behind the birdhouse is there's a vine that's coming up it, right? So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do some darker colors where we're going to add that vine. But right now we're just going to add a couple leafy pieces, right? So some greeny pieces that always come with flowers, right? They're called leaves, and there's a thing called photosynthesis, so they need the leaves, right? So we're going to just add a few of those light colored leaves, and then I'm going to come in here with some dark. So I'm going to get off my brush here, and I'm going to get into that dark green. And what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to kind of just, I'm going to wrap it up this post because it's going to be coming up the post, and it's wrapping around, and it's going to come up here, and it's going to come and invade this space of this beautiful birdhouse. So now I'm adding just a little bit of the dark green on top of the light green to give it some dimension. So those leaves aren't usually a flat green. They usually got a couple colors in them. So I'm going to just add a little color to those existing ones, not adding any new ones, although that's fine if you want to do that too. I'm just adding a little color onto those existing leaves like this. So I could even do like sort of like a hint that there's a vein going up here, because it's going to be going up here, right? So it's like going around the back of it, and it's coming around this side maybe, right? So maybe it's coming around the back side. Maybe we were even like add this in here, and it's coming up here, and now they've got the flowers on the top. That's kind of fun. So I'm adding that piece in, and I'm just giving those leaves a little bit of extra dark color so that they look like they're real leaves and not just leaves that are sort of comical, right? So we're just trying to get a little realism in our painting, because this is, like I said, more of a realistic subject today than some of our others. So, okay, so I'm adding that fun, super dark green in there. Yeah, those start to make those leaves that looked kind of like bizarre because they're kind of all on their own. Now they're starting to kind of do something new. I'm going to add maybe a leaf onto the stem here too, because sometimes those long stems have fun things that happen. So now we're going to add a little light green onto the light ones that we added here, the dark ones we added here. So give them a little bit of life. I like that. Yeah. That looks good. Okay. All right, so things you can do otherwise with this painting. So I'm gonna just work on my leaves a little bit here because they look like they need a little bit of help. So, but I don't want to get too crazy. I don't want this to be we've done paintings where we do just a lot of flowers. I do a lot of flower shoot today. So I wanted to give you something fun to play with. But I think this is a good one for you guys to watch and listen and learn from. I like that we can sort of take, and maybe now you can think about this, like you can take a painting that you've seen on something else and sort of reinterpret it for what you're doing. One thing that I wanted to do and I didn't do before was like save a little bit of white. In paintings, in acrylic, you can add white back in, and when you're doing watercolors, you can't. So it's really like it's precious. We call white the precious color. So I'm going to put a little white right in the middle there, and I'm going to put a little white right on my guy here because they got covered up with my marker earlier when I was trying to sort of point that all out to you guys. So there's my little middle guy there too. Kind of covered it up. So any questions for the gallery? Any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask me, because I do not have the button of mute. That's Jojo. I'm just covering up my my little bits here. No questions?
I want to see some paintings. Anybody have anything to show?
That I'd like to see.
Oh, look, Michaela went off on.
Can we show ours?
Yeah,
I'd love that.
Yeah,
Please do.
Okay, so this one's 9.
No.
Oh my God, I love it. What a great interpretation. That's super fun.
Sisters.
Oh, I love that. Oh, look at you with the stripes.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Totally different. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Anything else? Anyone else?
Kathy, you got some?
Is Kathy on here too?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. Kathy, let's see it.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love the dark color in the back. And you know something, your wood grain is great. It's really good. And you know something, I like that, you showed the side of the birdhouse too, and I didn't do that. I just did the outline. So I think that's really great. So
I was catching up, so I had
I
trouble
love it.
with the outline. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the outline can be tough, and that we started with that. So if you missed it, yeah, that could be tough. So nice job. Nice job.
But thank you, Katrina.
All right, you guys, that's kind of it for me today. I'm going to go back to the painting so you guys can see it one last time. So that's all I've got. I think that was a good one for today. So
That's
something
short
yeah.
but sweet.
Short but sweet.
Thank you, Katrina and Jojo.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Sophia and Valentina.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.
All right,
Bye.
thanks, Joe.
Next class.
All right, talk to you later.
Bye.